Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another rendition of All We Do Is Talk. We're here to talk about a review of week 2. It was a great week. I'm here with Moody and Isaiah. How we doing today, guys?
What's good, y'all?
Victory Tuesday, Eric. It feels good. Feels good. How you feeling?
Yes, sir. So I guess
Notice how we didn't ask Isaiah how he was feeling. I just want to try to notice that.
Well, speaking of Isaiah's feelings, we're going to start with Thursday night football. Where
it was a great one.
It was a great one.
I loved it. Personally. Where Washington took on the New York Giants in a 30-29 typical NFC East type game. We'll start with Mr. Harris. How do you feel after this game? Saw it live himself.
I just want to put it out there that I picked the game perfectly. I picked the cover and the over, but my 1 point was on the wrong side of the game, clearly. All I got to say is y'all should still be worried. Our offensive line looked amazing against that Redskins front, and we moved the ball on them easily. Daniel Jones, he's the Redskin killer. And according to everybody, it's questionable. I was celebrating after I saw this field goal, and a questionable all-sides call was made. And all I got to say is a lot of people are telling me that it might have been very questionable. I never saw a replay in the studio in the stadium. That's all I got to say about that. It's sad. Daniel Jones played amazing.
At least you have to
great
see
job
that.
Running. Yeah, but for the Giants to find a way to blow a game where their quarterback's having the best game of his life is the most saddest part. Happy birthday to me indeed. Not much more to say other than Daniel. It was a offensive shootout like I expected, as opposed to the defensive struggle that both of you guys were looking at. How y'all feel about the game since y'all watched it?
Exciting NFC East football. The NFC East always delivers. You can make fun of the division all you want. When they get on TV, they put on a show. Thursday night was no different. Daniel Jones and ODU's own Taylor Heineke going back and forth. It was an entertaining game, to say the least. Definitely has some NFC East components to it for sure on both sides of the ball. Lots of penalties.
Bad penalties.
We can complain about the refs all day long. The refs have been pretty awful. Every year they get worse and worse, and this year seems to be no different. But overall, I enjoyed the showcase. Both quarterbacks played well. That's the interesting thing about this is like neither one of these defenses that were projected to be the strengths of these teams have played that well. So it was surprising to see the quarterbacks have such success against these defenses that we are expecting more out of. But a good quarterback play leads to good football play, which leads to an entertaining football game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't cover my pick, but what I took out of this game is Antonio Gibson's a monster.
He looked like a monster person, man. He was running over people easily. It looked nasty.
Yeah, he averaged 5.3 yards a carry in this game. Just not a dominant running back, but for where they drafted him, and absolute steal. Daniel Jones clearly, I think, had the best game of his career.
I beg to differ. I'll always stand by that Tampa Bay game, but because you got to win a game to have your best game.
That's true.
He had a 102.2 quarterback rating.
He had a great game. Now, I will say he flubbed up. He made Darius Slayton make a play that I believe Darius Slayton should have gave everything he had to make because he was bumfuck wide open. Excuse my language. But other than that, his protection was – I'm more proud of the offensive line. They protected really well, which is even worse because we still found a way to lose, even though we're getting – better play than expected from the offensive line. Still not running the ball at all. No running game whatsoever. And that was supposed to be the strength of the offensive line. That's pain.
It's scary that Chase Young was able to chase down Saquon on his big run. But
he wasn't even close.
Yeah, Eric, that's the safety who was ahead of Saquon getting to the pylon was why that didn't end in a touchdown. If there was no safety ahead of him, Saquon's doing this to him.
I will say, talk about scary. We're going to talk about Scary Terry, who had
what a performance,
a top five receiver like performance. Definitely, he was in my top 10. But he's been giving James Bradbury problems for 2 seasons now. So that's a struggle to see because he's not the type of matchup for James Bradbury. But in the end, James Bradbury should have made the play of the week, but instead of Taylor Heineke, got a chance to make the play of the week.
All right, let's move
Anything
on.
else?
No, I think we're good. Let's move on to the 1:00 slate. We're going to start with Cincinnati and Chicago. Chicago came out with a 20-17 win. What y'all think of that game?
Probably the ugliest game of the day. I think that could easily be the claim there. We got
That Cowboys game wasn't that clean.
penalty-wise, but the quarterback play was outstanding. But as far as Bears and Bengals, that's the total opposite of outstanding quarterback play. Andy Dalton got hurt, came back, left again.
He definitely tore his ACL. I don't care what the doctors say. I saw a torn ACL.
They came out and confirmed
We'll
that
see.
his ACL was not torn.
That-
it doesn't
that'd be
matter.
spectacular.
He will never start quarterback for the Bears ever again. So I don't think it really matters what his injury is.
I will say also, Joe Burrow's worst game I've ever seen Joe Burrow play.
3 picks on 3 straight throws.
After the what's it called? The T. Higgins fumble.
That's
4 straight possessions, 4 straight turnovers.
It's a young football team. You get the encouraging week 1 win over a bad defense against Minnesota, and then you follow it up. It's just the week consistency. That's where your teams are going to struggle with.
And I'm not letting Chicago off the hook either, because they put Justin Fields in there and he threw that bad pick. And I'm rooting against Chicago this year. And I'm mad at you, Cincinnati. That game was there for the taking. They played terribly. Joe Burrow, I don't know what the hell happened to him in that game. Jamar Chase looked good again for 2 consecutive weeks. But Eric, how do you feel about this game?
Catches. Jamar Chase only had 2 catches, so he wasn't.
If one of them goes for an explosive touchdown, you've done your job. He's not Tariq Hill yet, where he's giving you explosive touchdown and 9 other great grabs for the rest of the game. Right now, we'll just go with 1. He was the best of the rookie receivers this week for sure, probably though, because not much from Devontae or Waddle this week, but they kind of had some bad quarterback problems. How do you feel about this game, Eric?
Yeah, I'd take away Joe Burrow. I mean, it was clearly his worst performance. 3 interceptions. He got sacked 4 times. QBR of 66. That ain't getting it done. And only scoring 17 points on a consistent basis is not going to get it done as well.
Man, you know who looks really good so far this season, though? Panay Sewell.
Yeah. So does Jamar Chase.
But Panay Sewell can actually protect him from just being on his back all the time. What was that, Eric? 4 quarterback sacks today?
He took a couple. He was taking a couple.
He's been sacked 9 times.
Jonah Williams has been great this year.
Sacked 9. Yeah. So imagine having 2 guys.
Well, we saw Panay Sewell struggle at right tackle, and that's where he's going to be playing. There, right now he's playing left, greater left. But Jamar Chase has got him a win. How many wins has Panay Sewell got for his team?
I mean, he's with the Lions. It's not great. It's not great over there in Detroit. They also have to play the Niners and the Packers the first 2 games of this. Like, damn, they got finessed.
I'll say Khalil Mack, he had a good game finally. He wasn't great in week 1. But anything else to say about the toilet bowl game?
Nah, it hit the under, as it obviously would. The cover was a push, I think.
Yeah, push. But it's a bad game when you get a push.
So yeah, it's just ugly. Let's move on.
All right, moving on to the Rams-Colts. Rams end up with a victory, 27-24. Colts cover. I believe all 3 of us got that wrong. Did the over hit?
I don't think so. I think it might be just a
hair short. 47.5. So yes, it hit.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it was 51 was the total points. So.
I will say the showcase game of the 1:00 window. 2 new quarterbacks with new teams. We saw Matthew Stafford continue the MVP trails he's blazing. A little bit more back to earth week. Had that bad interception, but the ball got tipped at the line. Still looked like didn't know who he's targeting on that play. We saw Carson Wentz he fulfilled the prophecy. Him and someone else we'll talk about later are in a competition to see who's the most fragile players in the NFL. He also ran into Aaron Donald, and Aaron Donald did like J.J. Watt. He almost broke both of his legs. So I mean, that's pretty ferocious.
The news ended up being actually positive for Carson Wentz, considering how
that first one. I don't know how the second ankle got hurt. That's how fragile I guess Carson is. But the first one looked like he was going to be done for the rest of the year. But he's already got hurt twice. He's already broken something.
It's unfortunate, man. We know when guys hurt, it's very rare that guys who are usually hurt stop being hurt. And that's just what it looks like here for
Keenan Allen.
It can happen. Not saying it can't happen. There are times where it definitely can. Sometimes you just figure it out and you just move on. But most of the time, it's just the body just takes too much abuse. He took way too much abuse
In
being
college.
a guy in college. He's a guy who likes to stand in the pocket and take hits and deliver throws. And it leads to a lot of big time throws for Carson Wentz. But those hits add up, and they have been added up on Carson Wentz, and it's tough to see. But as someone who's rooting for Philly not to get a first round pick, it is what it is.
Some other bad things that the Colts are finding out is that their offensive line is missing a left tackle, and if you have a left tackle problem, you don't have a good offensive line.
Let's see how Eric Fisher gets back. They're relying on that, which is a lot.
He was an above average left tackle on his best day. Pro Bowl caliber, but coming off a major injury, that's me. Costanzo, I can't believe he retired and he's having that impact. They've struggled on that left side. But they also have an injury or COVID to the right tackle. And their defense is
that's the real story here, because the offense, like, they don't have, especially with T.Y. Hilton now, they don't have a ton of like
real
outstandingly talented weapons on the offense. So it's not surprising the offense is struggling, but the defense was the strength of the team last year. And it is, Xavier Rhodes has missed the first couple of games, so that's definitely been a part of it. But guys are just running wide open in that secondary.
That's what Cooper Kupp do.
Guys are just running wide open, but just like Tyler Lockett was in week 1.
Yeah,
they have shown no ability to stop big plays in the secondary. If you give them explosive plays, especially to Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson, you're going to lose, and that's why they're 1-2.
Eric, anything else to say about the Colts before we move on to shine on some light on the Rams?
No, I was going to start the Rams part. I think they're establishing a run game with Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel.
That hurt.
Both those guys look really good, averaging over 4 yards a carry. I think that is, if they can develop that, that's when they become an absolute Super Bowl team, is if they can counter their elite passing game and still have defenses worried about Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson running the ball. That just opens it up for Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and stuff like that. So if they can keep that going, they're going to be an awfully dangerous team.
Yeah. Also, Jaylen Ramsay and Aaron Donald look great. The Rams have one problem, though. They have very little depth, so they're going to have to be able to keep Stafford healthy. He looks like he's already banged up with a finger problem.
He had a thumb surgery, and then he banged it up again in the offseason as well.
Jaylen Ramsay looks really healthy right now, but we know he's Jaylen Ramsay.
His one injury was when he was faking it to get out of Jacksonville. Ramsey's been remarkably healthy.
And then Aaron Donald stayed healthy, but when he got hurt last year in the playoffs, that was it for that was the end of the road for that. But that's it for that game. Really sucks that Jacob Eason had to come in
and throw the game away. But overall, it was due to the special teams play. The game was probably more competitive than it should have been, but a good back and forth between two teams we expect to be pretty good.
All right, so moving on, we're going to New England versus the New York Jets. Isaiah's lock of the week. It hit 25-6 New England. Mr. Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks ain't nothing like it.
Especially when they play for the Jets. Holy shit, that was bad.
Yeah, what was it? He had 4 completions and 4 picks in the first half.
So 8 completions.
Yeah, I guess
8 times the ball didn't hit the ground. Now, I blame the Jets because, for one, there's no reason, I heard this a lot today, there's no reason they don't have a backup quarterback that's like a veteran backup quarterback. They don't have a backup veteran quarterback. They've got a rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator, rookie quarterback, and they're just being tossed to wolves against the most experienced head coach or a coach of all time, probably. 47 years, I heard, for Belichick. Yeah, no chance. It was a heavyweight mismatch. No chance. And then they had Zach Wilson being out. He was way. The play calls they were calling for him to be way too aggressive. The Jets ruined quarterbacks.
Yeah, it was a tough scene. He looked like he just didn't know what he was looking at because
the ghost.
As Sam Darnold once said, he was seeing the ghost out there. It looked like he was confused. No run game to really help out either.
Receivers dropping passes.
And New England is really good at corner, really good at playing coverages and just taking everything. He never had a chance. It was just it appeared that way with Mekhi Becton being out. He's not getting protection either. It was a perfect storm for him to have a poor game, and that's what happened. Hopefully, it doesn't break his confidence. Hopefully, he's able to continue to grow as a quarterback. This is a hell of a learning experience, though.
All right, Eric, I got a big question for you. So we've seen a good amount of Jets blunders in our lifetime. So I want you to pick the most iconic. Now I think it's fair.
It did not top 10 number one for a year. They had to retire it. We know what it is.
I will say, let's not forget about the infamous Sam Darnold Ghost game and now the infamous Zach Wilson first New England Patriots game. That's some blunders. I'm sorry for the franchise to have to experience. The fans have to experience that. That's Belichick is probably on the sideline laughing.
But we could look at the New England side real quick. Matt Jones had an efficient yet really dink and dunk offensive game. Hey, but he helped them move the ball. Now it's easy when you get 4 turnovers.
175 yards.
I saw 186. Not great, but hey, Mac, he ain't turning the ball over. He's helping them move the ball.
Because he's on the good team.
You sure? Yeah, sure. He's hitting their guy. He doesn't have a lot of explosive weapons out there, so he's gonna have to hit the guys and hope they can make plays. But overall, he looks like he's like the quarterback in the best position so far.
If they flipped the quarterbacks yesterday, the Jets quarterback would still
have more picks.
Eric, how do you feel about this epic tragedy?
Well, with Mac Jones, I would say one concern I'd have is that a running back was his leading receiver for the game. James White had 6 targets.
They didn't do anything.
But Hunter Henry was right there. I mean, he only had 2 catches, but for 42 yards.
Cut him in your fantasy leagues. They're not going to be doing much on that offense. Just tidbits.
That's the second half scene. That's the New England's offense going to be second half.
Well, yeah. I mean, Mac Jones. I mean, I think my proclamation last week was that Mac Jones would come out here and show you that he's going to be a franchise quarterback, which he kind of showed. He showed that he won't turn the ball over. He'll make the smart play. So and that's perfect for a Bill Belichick offense.
Or did the quarterback on the other side throw 5 interceptions, allowing him no chance to win, to not lose? I mean,
there was no pressure on him in this game, obviously. But hey, we've seen rookie quarterbacks come out here, and they'll keep the other bad quarterback in the game by being bad himself.
Yeah, that's what Zach Wilson was playing. That's the role Zach Wilson was playing.
He can't play both, being the bad quarterback and the other bad quarterback. Matt Jones played fine. So they were able, and they came out with a very easy victory. I don't think there's really too much else.
Bill Belichick single-handedly beat the Jets without using offense.
All right, so moving on to the next game, we got the Browns versus the Texans.
Easy, pass all on the back for that easy cover call. Good job, man. Everyone knew that Cleveland ain't gonna be covering those.
Hey, if Tyrod Taylor don't get hurt.
Yeah, facts. That's what I was going to bring up. If Tyrod Taylor, they could, bro. They could have.
I'm not going to go that far.
He was 10 for 11 for
like probably got done up like the Detroit Lions did last night.
A half a good then.
But they fought, and I was like, their team is not as bad as people make it out to be. It's got enough veterans to help them stay in games long enough.
Yeah, they seem to be well coached. They seem to be playing really, really hard. They got veterans who know what they're doing, and that can do the job on most teams who are going to be overlooking the Texans.
Also, Cleveland's defense is clearly not.
It's not good.
It's early.
It's early. It's not good right now.
It's not good right now. But yeah, Eric, how else did you feel about this game?
Yeah, what I took out of this game is I didn't know how deep the running back room is for the Texans. They got Mark.
They've got 5 former 1,000-yard rushers in that running back room.
Yeah, they got Mark Ingram, Johnson, and Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. Like, they got a team that of enough veteran, and those are like scrappy. Those are the scrappy, barely made, except for Mark Ingram running backs. Like David Johnson is a day 2 pick. Philip Lindsay's undrafted, and Mark Ingram was overlooked for a long time. So like they got good leadership in that locker room with guys who've been there, done that. Not good teams though. Probably won't be picking higher than 5 either.
Yeah,
but enough to cover against Cleveland and.
Yeah, they covered against Baker Mayfield. He suffered. He had some shoulder problems in this game. He had to leave for a little bit. He came back. I think there was another. Jarvis Landry sprained his MCL. He went to IR today. That's not very good.
Because Odell's still out too.
But we might see Odell this week. Is what the word is. Well, they ruled him out early last week, so they haven't ruled him out yet. So that gives you hope that maybe they'll bring him back. But hopefully they don't use the Jarvis Landry injury as an excuse to rush Odell back, because I don't think that'd be very smart.
And as for Houston, when Tyrod got hurt, we got to see Davis Mills join the rookie quarterback struggle.
Yeah, he's going to be starting on Thursday night. That's going to be a rude awakening for him. I expect that to be very ugly.
Love it. All right,
moving on.
Yeah, moving on. We got my lock of the week that hit. San Francisco 49ers beat the Philadelphia Eagles 17-11. And I think we all called the under.
This
it was 50 and a half.
This was the most obvious under. It didn't matter what the over-under was. I was taking the under in this game. This was at Philly, Jalen Hurts versus Jimmy Garoppolo, defensive trenches slugfest. That's all this was ever going to be.
There were a couple like explosive plays that ended in field goal drive.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to go.
The 90-yard touchdown, the 91-yard pass that Hurts made to
Quez Watkins, I think,
down the sideline that they didn't score in the end of that.
That's the only way this game was going to go, especially with Philly suffering some injuries on the offensive line
and the defensive
line. That's definitely going to hurt. Those are probably arguably their best players on either side of those defensive lines. Jalen Hurts looked up and down. He looks really good in the run game. It looked like he has a hard time when he's under fire, and San Francisco put his ass under fire in that football game.
Nick Bosa had a big game.
Nick Bosa had a really, really big day against their newly paid tackle, Jordan Mailata. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not really sure.
I don't know how he got that back. He's played a couple of good games and they gave it back.
So yeah, overall for Philly, they look like their defense still looks really good. Their defense still looks formidable. They're always going to be tough to score on at home, that's for sure. But the offense has a long way to go.
Secondary looks suspect still.
Yeah, that's the Philly special.
The play of the week, the Philly special part 2.
The throwaway on 4th down.
That ends with Greg Ward throwing the ball away out the back of the end zone on 4th down instead of.
It was Greg Ward. So we talked about it was a receiver. That's a former quarterback. He's a quarterback. That guy, he's got to get that done.
But he has to just run into the end zone. He throws it away like I can't get hit either. But you know what I told you? In practice, they told him if nothing's here when they ran that play, to throw it away.
But
they just didn't know that they were going to run it on 4th down. He hasn't played quarterback in a long time. He probably didn't even think much about it until they were like, hey, it's 4th down. Oh. Eric, how you feel about this game? It was your lock.
Yeah, I mean, what I take away is Jalen Hurts. I mean, he had 190 yards. If you take one pass away, he throws 99 yards on the day. That definitely doesn't get it done. Somehow he still had an 80 QBR.
Because he runs.
Yeah. What I took away is that my breakout player of the year is nowhere close to breaking out.
He's in the doghouse. Just like Denzel Mims.
He got it. But I don't know why he's doing the things he's doing. But and also I'm surprised that Trey Sermon's not getting more carries for the 49ers.
He's hurt.
He got hurt.
He got hurt his only carry.
They lost 3 running backs in that game
after losing one last week. It's San Francisco.
But next, moving on.
Next game, we got the Broncos versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Broncos win 23-13.
This was about as close of a lock as you could probably call as any lock of the week. It wouldn't have been very bold to call this one, which is why no one even talked about it. Obviously,
it's a forgettable game.
I was super duper wrong about Jacksonville. They look terrible.
They won one game last year.
They look off. I mean, it's their first round pick. Their first round pick got knocked out right away, and it seems to have all been downhill.
He was probably gonna be their best player.
They look really bad on both sides of the ball, especially in the trenches, and that's where it doesn't look great. Trevor Lawrence is seeing adversity for the first time in his entire life.
Zach Wilson didn't have that terrible game. Trevor Lawrence was.
Trevor Lawrence has kind of skated by on how he's because everyone knows Jacksonville is so awful. But I mean, he did so flash. They had the lead. Early on, he had a beautiful touchdown throw on Marvin Jones on a wheel route to give him the lead early on. The only professional player they have on their team. Like, it is not built well. Urban Meyer looks a little over his head, but that's a team that's going to they're a while away.
It's year one. Peyton Manning was terrible his first year. Mm-hmm. Eli Manning 1-7. Mm-hmm. Troy Aikman 1-15. It's year one.
It's year one.
You thought they were. They're not sneaking up on nobody. They look. It's debatable if they're worse than Detroit because I think Detroit's pretty bad.
Detroit looks a little bit. Are they like Houston's definitely better? Detroit look a little like that's the worst team in the league.
They're probably gonna be picking number one overall again. Yeah. They'll get it together. But like we said about the Jets, like they got rookie quarterback and rookie coach, so and no veteran behind them. So like no one knows what's going on.
They should have kept Tebow.
He would have known what was going on. He was like, yo, Y'all not doing this right.
Sebo had him in shape.
Anything else to say about this game, Eric?
Teddy B, I think, has found a home. Throwing for 328 yards. I mean, he just looked comfortable in this offense. And they have a bevy of weapons. Like their wide receiver core is no joke with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy's hurt, right? But
Tim Patrick is really good. KJ Hamler is good. Noah Fant.
Yeah, Noah
Fant. They are loaded at the receiver position.
Yeah,
I will say though, it seems like they faced the least amount of adversity.
Yeah,
everything's looked pretty easy, and I watched one of their games every second of one of their games. Everything's looked pretty like, oh yeah, dude, we're running this play and boom, open guy, hit it right here. Boom. So we'll see how they hold up. I think Fangio is a good coach. Getting Fuller has really helped the defense. The defense looked really good, but like they're gonna have to.
Patrick fans look great too.
Yeah, everybody's
my rookie.
I'm not gonna cry because I got high things to talk about my rookie too.
Yeah, that's it for that.
So moving on, we got Moody's. I'll give Moody the winner of Locks of the Week with Las Vegas beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 26-17.
Know your history.
We all picked this game.
If you know your history,
everybody picked this game.
That Vegas, the Raiders, it don't matter where they at. They love beating Pittsburgh Steelers.
And they did it with Bruce Gronkowski one time. He works for PFF now.
Derek Carr is on the run of his life. It's the best football he's ever played in his entire career. With the bad offensive line.
It's a good line. The tackle play's been good. From Leatherwood and Miller.
It hasn't been. It's
coming up the middle. The pressure's coming up the middle, but if you're protected at the tackles.
Did he look more comfortable when TJ Watt left the football game? Perhaps. There's something that can be argued, that's for sure. But overall, Derek Carr's been efficient. He's not putting the ball in harm's way, and he's making explosive plays in the fourth quarter to get his team the wins. And Vegas looks really, really good right now.
That's only because you disrespected his arm talent. He's been throwing the ball down the field this year, so now you got to make up for that. Hey, Derek, he's having a good run. Pittsburgh, but come on, this is a Pittsburgh classic. A Pittsburgh underperforming Mike Tomlin classic. That's why it's easy to call. Anything else? Pittsburgh, I don't know where Pittsburgh's headed, really.
Yeah, Big Ben.
He's banged up already.
The injury excuse, I thought they'd wait a little longer before they gave Ben the injury excuse, but they probably know right now it's over. We'll see.
And Deontay Johnson got hurt on that last play when they were still down.
Yeah, the receiver core almost doesn't matter at this point because the quarterback play is bad. The offensive line play is worse. That's compounding. Think 2013 to 2016 Eli Manning. Old, can't move with an offensive line that can't protect him. It's not going to be pretty. And his receiving core good, but Odell Beckham Jr. ain't out there. And that's the Pittsburgh offense is bad. They tried to fix it with a running back. Massive mistake, and they're paying for it now.
Yeah, so what I take out of this game, and I find to be the most impressive thing about the Raiders, they didn't spam Darren Waller. They only targeted him 7 times. He got 5 catches for 65 yards. So they won a road game without abusing their top threat, which I think shows a great sign for the overall team. Now, I think Henry Ruggs finally had a coming out party in this game. He looked like a mini Tyreek Hill, which is what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be their version of Tyreek Hill. But I was surprised also they didn't have their number 1 running back in Josh Jacobs. But they hardly relied on their running game.
They put the game on Derek Carr, and he delivered.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, we're gonna go to the shellacking of the Miami Dolphins.
My secondary lock of the week.
The Buffalo Bills dropped their dick on the table and won 35-0.
You take it away.
Yeah, Tua gets hurt in this game with a rib injury. Who knows how long he'll be out with that? Who came in for him?
Jacoby Brissett.
It seemed like it was good news. I was watching the fantasy show today, and Stephania Bell said that he's like, it's going to be a pain tolerance thing. There's no structural damage. He's not like, it's just going to be if he can handle the rib pain.
It's the same injury that got Tyrod Taylor stabbed in the lung last year.
the dawning of Justin Herbert.
But all I gotta say is it's clear that Miami has a Josh Allen problem. They have a Josh Allen problem. And a Buffalo, which means they have a Buffalo Bills problem, which means they're stuck in the third place if New England ever is decent this year, because they look like the one thing that was underrated is that the Buffalo Bills defense has been back to elite now.
Yeah. Those young edge guys, Epinesa, Rousseau, Basham,
And
they
Ed
all playing
Oliver,
really well.
Yeah. So if they're getting pass rush, then that's going to be even make it better for their secondary. But they can't stop them. They can't stop. They know their scheme and they just have their number. It's just the worst thing.
What's interesting, like if you look at Josh Allen's numbers,
they weren't great.
They weren't spectacular. He had like 179 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I know he had the rushing touchdown wiped off the board, and they ended up scoring on that drive anyway with a Devin Singletary run. But like they got an interception off of him. Miami's secondary held up pretty well.
Yeah,
but they can't stop the run. They continue.
They let Buffalo run on them.
Buffalo.
So that's like, oh wow, we don't even have to worry about going.
They continue to be abysmal against the run, and with their offense just doing nothing, absolutely nothing, a net negative the entire day. I mean, there was really nothing. Their defense can only hold up for so long.
Because like Carson Wentz, Tua Tagovailoa is also in the most fragile player running this year, because I mean he just doesn't stay healthy.
Hopefully he can get back and be able to make the field on Sunday. If not, in a short period of time. Jacoby Brissett's not a bad QB2 to have, but it's going to be difficult for Miami moving forward with the Tua injury problems.
Eric, how you feel about this ass kicking?
I mean, yeah, it's impressive, or I guess it's bad on Miami that they let the Bills run all over them, since that's like their weak link on offense is they let Devin Singletary average 6.3 yards a carry.
Right. That's an L. That's an L. Because they still can't – because, like, when Josh Allen needs to make plays, they're still not stopping that. So, like, it's third and short a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and Josh Allen didn't even have an incredible day, like 17 for 35 and 179 yards, like Moody said.
The Miami secondary did their job. Like, they held up as well as you could hold up on that Bills offense.
Yeah, so –
and they still lost.
And they lost 35-0.
Yeah. Miami turned the ball over a ridiculous amount of times. And
we'll see how Tua recovers and can withstand pain.
Good luck to him. I mean, he I don't know if he'll ever be the player that was winning that national championship game all those years ago, because that's been a while now. But
I would just like to see him get a rhythm, though. We can't see him 2-3 games in a row.
It's tough. He looks small out there. I'm not gonna lie. He looks small out there, and he's not a small man. That's something the NFL players are really. That's crazy. Anything else to talk about? There's not much more to beat. There's a dead horse here already that's been beaten.
So let's move on to the 4:00 games.
The best window of the day. Of the week.
Let's start with the worst game. Tampa Bay puts in that work against Atlanta, winning 48-25. Covering that big number, so pat ourselves on the back for taking all those numbers, boys.
I mean, obviously, there was no question.
So,
it's good.
So yeah, Tom Brady had a typical day at the office. 24 for 36, 276, and 5 tutties.
He wasn't even that great.
Yeah, like come on, Tom Brady 5 touchdowns. Yeah, bro, Tom Brady won't even like that. It won't even a great day for Tom. Like this is the level this man is.
Mike Evans is wide open in the end. Wide open, Mike Evans, wide open, Gronk. He was having a good game, but like how he got the 5 touchdowns, he had like 3 1-yard touchdowns. So I already know what type of day he had. It was mainly because when Atlanta wasn't scoring, they were just throwing up on themselves all game. Too many interceptions. Matt Ryan's 2 weeks in a row. Matt Ryan looks like he's been just getting abused back there. Circa 2016, Eli Manning. He's running for his life trying to get to Kyle Pitts or Calvin Ridley.
I'm glad they got him a tight end now. But the game was actually closer than the scoreboard would indicate. It was
without being at the same time.
I mean, like Atlanta never had a realistic chance of winning the game, but it was a 3-point game late in the third quarter. Like they were right there in the game, and
before the first interception.
But yeah, Tom Brady went down the field and scored. They re-upped lead to 10. Pick six. You cover the spread. That's how you can describe this football game.
Tampa looks like a monster still, setting up that matchup against the Rams next week. And Atlanta, we'll go to New York to figure out who's the worst team for sure in the NFC next week.
Hey, and shout out Josh Rosen for actually getting into a game. But
Oh my God.
all right,
What
so let's move on. Let's go to Arizona, Minnesota, an
Oh,
exciting.
you want to go to a heartbreak?
Wide right. I know Minnesota fans know this feeling all too well.
This might have been the best game of the whole window.
Of the 4 o'clock window,
This
I didn't see enough of Tennessee, Seattle to make it.
But that was, you know how I feel about 2 blowouts in one game. This was back and forth. Minnesota was in control a lot. Great game from one of the better Kirk Cousins games. You know, he's going to hit Adam Thielen for a touchdown. That's like the poor man's version of Aaron Rodgers to his guy up there. Justin Jefferson got open. You know, he's going to get his stuff in. Both defenses look weak. It looked like it was a nice shootout. Kyler Murray was amazing, except for when he threw that pick 6. He threw another bad interception, took another couple bad sacks, but when he was making his highlight reel plays, And in the end, Minnesota goes down the field, sets up a 37-yard field goal, and they miss it.
It's tough for Minnesota. This is a game they should have won. I think that's pretty clear to say.
Sure they're staring the Rams and the Seahawks on the next 2 games.
We know they have Seattle on Sunday, but it's a disappointing loss. They got a great game from Kirk Cousins. They managed to hold up a lot better against Chandler Jones than Tennessee was able to.
Their O-lines are good.
And when you do that, you can find room in that secondary in Arizona to make plays. And they made tons. Those receivers got open, especially in the red zone. They were able to finish drives. Dalvin Cook seemed to get shaken up a few times in this game. I saw him walking off the field a couple of times. So that's a little concerning. I don't know what the update was on him. I guess he's fine for now. But that was hard to see. But overall, Minnesota played a really good game. Kyler Murray, human highlight reel, made a bunch of spectacular plays. Also kept Minnesota in the game by making some mistakes as well. But that's the Kyler Murray experience at this point. But great football game, though. Really, really exciting.
Bad ending.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray had another unfortunate thing. Kyler Murray had another great game. I mean, 400 yards. That's very impressive.
That pick 6 that he threw was it looked like a Joe Burrow pick 6.
He didn't see a linebacker at all.
It looked like him and Joe Burrow threw the same pick 6 this week, and it was kind of great. And the linebacker ran down the sideline because it's the NFL.
Yeah.
But how about Minnesota-wise? How do you feel about Minnesota, Eric?
Adam Thielen, I think they're making it clear that Adam Thielen is their number 1 as of right now.
That was clear last year too, despite the yards that Jefferson had.
If you have more yards, it was like a Juju. It might have been a Juju AB situation, but if you got more yards, I mean, just say you got more yards.
But
a lot more.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is gonna Kirk Cousins.
That Minnesota defense is scary bad. But even when Hunter got 3 sacks.
Hunter played good. There's nothing in that secondary. They got nothing back there.
Patrick Peterson's game.
Pat Pete's old.
Unfortunately,
they had a first-round pick of Jeff Gladney, who had to just get tossed away because of that issues he had. I don't even know who else they have in that. Xavier Woods, who's the 5th-ranked safety by PFF, which breaks my heart to see.
Nice interception this week.
Which I hate to see, but yeah, it's just their defense is just it's not looking great right now. It looks like they're gonna have to rebuild it.
Anything else before we move on to the second half of the really good 425 games? Which one are we doing first?
We're gonna do the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Chargers. Cowboys come out on top because of Greg the Leg. 20-17.
After Mike McCarthy screws him out of a few yards on the kick.
No, there's an explanation for the poor clock management.
Yeah,
mostly Mike
McCarthy. The clock that he was.
Isn't it convenient? The clock that he was looking at the whole game just turned off.
Well,
no one just talks about how that happened. No, everyone talks about the poor clock management. I want to look at the conspiracy of why a perfectly working clock in a $5 billion stadium just suddenly stopped working.
I was told that there's a billion clocks in that building.
Yeah,
so he could have just.
So it's still a bad. That's why the excuse is still bad. I just want to know why the clock stopped working. The clock was working perfect. Everything was all good. The clock was working perfectly fine the whole game. But it didn't matter because they believed in Greg the Leg. But anyway, let's get into
coming out that week 1.
let's get into the football game. This was a very, very weird game in which there were only 15 total possessions, which is why the scoring was down despite all the yardage that moved throughout this game. Neither offense was really slowed down that much, but it was a battle of the two dynamic young quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, both leading their teams up and down the field against defenses that are not great. The Cowboys had a little bit more of a mixed attack with the run game going for almost 200 yards. Brandon Staley, wants to keep those safeties back, wants to play coverage, make sure the receivers don't beat his corners, and it killed him. Somehow Joey Bosa lost the matchup versus Terrence Steele. That was a big blow to the Chargers defensive prospects because they were able to run on everybody else. They had a really hard time stopping both Zeke and the star of the game, Tony Pollard, who went for over 100 yards on 8 yards a clip. Dak Prescott was efficient with the ball. He had one bad turnover early in the first half, but the rest of the game he was efficient and he moved the ball down the field to go win the football game. Cowboys win 2017.
Start of the game's got to be the defensive player who went from playing linebacker to being the pass rusher. My number one defensive player in the draft this year. Still got a chance to whoop up on a easy matchup.
Storm Norton, shout out to you, buddy.
But he looked amazing. Van Der Esch had a good game.
Van Der Esch should have a good game.
Jaylen Swift had a bad game, but
I'm not gonna say Jaylen Swift had a bad game. We have to grade Jaylen Swift on a curve now.
If we're grading on a curve,
Jaylen Swift is not a $70 million linebacker, so you don't grade him on that. For what he is, he was good.
Van Der Esch was popping and flashing. So was Parsons. Jaylen Swift was just on the field.
Neither one of those guys had the catastrophic injury.
Justin Herbert was playing amazingly, but just like last week previously, he waited till the red zone to have a very bad turnover. I don't know what he was seeing on that play.
You act like that was his only turnover of the game. He should have had at least 3.
I'm going to put the blame on Keenan Allen for the first one. If you can't get open running a drag cross,
if he's not open, why throw it?
It's a crossing route. How can you not get open in a cross route against man coverage? Come on, Keenan.
Trayvon Diggs made a play.
He's the one that's always on social media talking about he this, he that. Hey, bro, can we create some separation? Trayvon Diggs is not even that fast of a player where it's like, hey, bro, I can't even come close to it.
There's more to cornerback and just having dynamic speed. But listen, shout out to Trayvon Diggs for that football play right there. Like regular corners, great corners make those plays. Special corners pick off crossing routes and man coverage like it's a quarterback like Justin Herbert. That's an unbelievable play by him. But before we cannot move on from this game without talking about how abysmal the referees were.
No, we left them alone in the Giants Washington football team game.
This game had 21 accepted penalties for 175
It was the Cowboys who were undisciplined versus the Chargers who were even more undisciplined on that day. It was the word.
There were a few unfortunate calls for both sides that just prevent. This game should not have been 20-17. This game, the referees kept this game to be low score. I guess Vegas wanted the under.
Just like they wanted the over in the Giants game.
It looks like Vegas wanted the under because they would not let anybody to get away with anything. Offenses was limited because of the referees holding everybody back. Like we don't need the referees to be a part of the game. They need to chill out.
If somehow Atlanta found the way to make their game competitive, that Cowboys game would have probably been the worst game in the 4:30, which is surprising because it should have been a shootout. But the referees bad, we all know it. Eric, how do you feel about this game?
What I took out of this game is Tony Pollard might be your RB1.
Let's not start no unnecessary controversy. He's not getting paid $90 million. He's not going to be the RB1.
What I took away from it is they gave away $90 million to an asset they don't need to be paying $90 million. And when you add Jaylen Smith $70 million, a lot of money being burned. But hey, Jerry Jones is a rich man. He'll be okay.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
Moving on to the best game and the most epic game of the 4:30 windows, I guess, will be going on to Tennessee heading over to Seattle for the first game back with the 12s in the stadium. And we had Tennessee overcoming a 24-9
fourth quarter deficit.
How late was it into the fourth quarter? Was it like 10, 8 minutes?
It was low enough that the game, the ending score is surprising. That's how little time was left.
So Russell Wilson comes out hot like Russell Wilson does. It's Tyler Lockett on a deep corner route that he breaks back and takes it all the way to the house. Quiet game from DK Metcalf. And then we also had a big game from Chris Carson. Seattle was driving the ball up and down. So it's 24-9. We get a showing from Derrick Henry early, makes a big play on a cutback run. And then he makes that crazy 60-yard scamper all the way down. He looked so explosive.
Running back in the league.
And I'll declare it, greatest running back that I've seen, greatest running back of his generation for sure. And he's AP. He's on the way to come get you because he's Brandon Jacobs on steroids, which is the crazy thing because he doesn't look like he's slowing down, which he probably is though, because he has a slow week, but he's easy for 175. Like he's an easy 175. He has Seattle's defense.
It doesn't make sense that a guy that big breaks the explosive runs that he breaks. Like we know he's not overly like this burner.
He's 4.5 though.
But when he gets downhill, he doesn't get caught. Like when this dude gets a head of steam going, he doesn't get ran down, and you don't get there's no ankle trip up tackles like what happens on other backs, smaller backs that prevent the explosive play from getting really explosive. When you get Derrick Henry runs through arm tackles like it's nothing, and it doesn't break his momentum. He goes straight to the end zone. He took over the football game. They got back into a game not by throwing it all over the yard.
I will say they had that drive for Julio that got him down there.
Yeah,
they got Julio involved. He had a good game. A.J. Brown has been inconsistent, terrible this season. He's been terrible. If you're dropping lots of passes that can be touchdown, then you're being a net negative. He's been terrible. He better step it up, or they will kick him out of the party. Anything else? Oh, Seattle's defense is terrible.
Yeah,
but it was
bad, rough day from Seattle's defense, especially but only late. It's just like they kind of, I guess, it just wore down or something because they were doing a good job. They were slowing down, stuffing up Derrick Henry, and that has been with the book on Tennessee the whole time. If you slow down Derrick Henry, they're going to struggle to score points on offense. But if you let Derrick Henry get going like that, there's nothing you can do.
How you feel, Eric? Did you get a chance to catch the comeback?
A little bit. Yeah, Derrick Henry is unbelievable. He's ridiculous. No man that big should be able to run like that. Averaging 5 yards a run with the 60-yard run was just nuts. Yeah, AJ Brown got to step it up.
I ain't worried about him. He'll be fine.
But yeah. All right, so we forgot a game in the 1 o'clock slate.
How could we?
Carolina Panthers putting in the work against the New Orleans Saints to be the only 2-0 team on this podcast. Sam Darnold with his 300 yards, throwing the ball down the field a little bit. Christian McCaffrey doing Christian McCaffrey things in the backfield, receiving the ball, doing it all. What'd y'all think about this game?
Oh, we got Mr. MVP frontrunner himself, Jameis Winston, returned to form, and he was throwing those Jameis Winston-like interceptions.
I think it's a game that I definitely picked the cover for the Panthers in this one. The writing was on the wall.
It wasn't on the wall.
Jameis Winston ain't no 5 touchdown, no pick.
No, the problem is what I told you. They had
mistakes.
no yards. They were just throwing red zone touchdowns.
He had a couple of explosive ones too, but he had no adversity. Green Bay looked like they didn't want to play out there. It was a stark difference between what Green Bay's effort level was to what Carolina's was. Carolina's looked hungry, nasty, fast, physical, and they dominated New Orleans yesterday. They dominated them in the trenches. We know New Orleans is pretty devoid of receiving weapons as well. That makes it really hard for them.
It'd be nice if that receiver that they paid all that money to.
Exactly. So if those guys are not going to be getting open on Carolina secondary, so they can just load up against the run, shut down Alvin Kamara.
I thought he was this guy that's just going to make anything happen.
They made them one-dimensional. Jameis Winston looked lost in the coverages that they were running. Yeah, he
looked bad, not lost, but
I mean, they didn't score until the fourth quarter because of a blocked field goal. They got him in the red zone. It was a pretty ugly performance the whole game. Carolina dominated them on both sides of the ball. Sam Darnold looked really, really good. Actually, looked very efficient. Now we know the Saints were missing a few players in their secondary.
McCaffrey wasn't amazing. He wasn't amazing.
I mean, the Saints are gonna stop the run. That's just what it is.
He's on the fantasy team, so I want to see amazing McCaffrey.
You're not running the football on New Orleans. It just doesn't happen. But the secondary with Marshawn Lattimore being out definitely had plenty of weak signs. DJ Moore had a big game to help Carolina put enough points on the board to get the win.
And shout out to James Horn for his first career interception.
Jameis, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. Let the play die. You're not Patrick Mahomes. But speaking of Patrick Mahomes,
yes. So we go into the game of the week, Sunday Night Football, Baltimore, Kansas City. Baltimore.
Oh wait, so we're not talking about so Green Bay versus Detroit. Green Bay versus Detroit wasn't the game of the week.
It was the last game of the week.
Oh, what can we say about this Kansas City game other than they choked it away in the end? They choked it away. First, Lamar was choking it away. That's the start in the first half. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, and led by Patrick Mahomes, choking away in the second half.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to put it. This is a game that the Chiefs were in control of. They looked like Lamar with the turnovers early. Chiefs offense looked unstoppable. That catch and run from Travis Kelce to
the Giants to Pringle in the back of the end zone.
That was unbelievable too.
The catch and run from Kansas City.
Kansas City's offense looked explosive as usual, although not so much from Tyreek Hill, who was definitely slowed down in this game, but.
They didn't blitz.
They just dominated. They just scored with everybody else. Pringle, Hardman got involved. Kelce was amazing in this game. But we know why they lost. They had two awful turnovers. Patrick Mahomes trying to do – like you talk about Jameis Winston game, Patrick Mahomes didn't get away with
Patrick Mahomes okay with not – he can let every play go until he's ready – until it goes that bad.
But for this game – Patrick Mahomes tried to be Patrick Mahomes, and it cost them dearly, and it's the reason why they lost the football game.
No, let's be real.
But it's the reason because they were up with the ball. They were in complete control. It shouldn't have even gotten to the point where it did.
CEH. They put the ball in your hand, trusting you to keep the clock running, and he decides to pull the DeMarco Murray, and he puts the ball down on the ground. With very little resistance, just ball on the ground. Game over.
Yeah, bro. This was in last week's game against the Browns. The Chiefs they laid in wait and made their move late. This week they tried to do it again, and you just can't play around with your food against good football teams like they played. And Baltimore's a really good football.
This week
team.
they folded. This week they were fumbling.
Exactly.
Throwing a bad interception. That interception was bad. I will say Lamar made a couple of great plays.
Lamar was amazing.
He's their offense.
In the battle of the MVPs on the field, Lamar was the better MVP in that game.
No one made a better throw than the throw.
No one made a better throw, but we know Lamar's best plays aren't going to be his throws. It's going to be with his legs, running the ball.
The Yak play to Kelce was still a great throw across the field.
Yeah, no debate. Amazing. But Lamar, with the way that the Ravens have no running backs left on the roster, basically, Lamar Jackson's carrying that run game, and he was dynamic. He was explosive. He was making guys miss in the open field. He was making guys miss in small spaces as well. After a couple of early turnovers, he settled down and he kept answering Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes making an explosive play. Lamar came right back, made it a play of his own, and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs made the final mistakes. And he took advantage. Got his first win over Kansas City. I'm sure that's a huge monkey off his back.
Eric, how do you feel about the Sunday Night Football game?
What I took out of it is that the Ravens said anybody but Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
So they said Kelce has to beat us, and all of the other wideouts, Mecole Hardman, Robinson, all of them have to beat us. We're not letting Tyreek Hill beat us. And they did a good job of shutting down Tyreek Hill. He only had 3 catches for 14 yards, and he had 1 rush for 15 yards. But it was a great job by them to shut down their deep threat, even though Travis Kelce, his touchdown run was ridiculous.
Was amazing. He's incredible. He's unbelievable.
But yeah,
top 3 tight end.
Lamar Jackson's a cheat code. Like, he's better than Mike. I'm surprised Mike Vick didn't have more 200-yard games and 100 rushing. But
I will fight this to the death, Eric. We're not going to sit here and disrespect Michael Vick like this.
Where's Michael Vick?
Michael Vick played in an era where they did not want quarterbacks playing like Michael Vick. They did not allow guys – can you imagine Michael Vick just getting in a spread offense without Brian Urlacher type linebackers on the field trying to come stop it? Like, teams were trying to stop the run back then. Michael Vick was something special.
We can only talk about what we've seen, not what we thought, what we think.
That's why you can't compare eras. So that's the argument I'll go with. We won't be disrespecting Michael Vick on this podcast.
Lamar's got an MVP. But he plays the way.
I mean, he'd have to go to jail. So
I will say I still think Kansas City is way better than Baltimore. The gutsy win for Baltimore. I still think the injuries are a little bit too much because
Peters ain't coming back.
They got to play that way where they can't. They got to do the stop Tyreek Hill, but as we saw, Travis Kelce, they don't really have. They are one of the worst teams at guarding tight ends. So if you're just gonna let Travis Kelce beat you, it's gonna beat you like when the final drive was. I'm just gonna say Clyde Edwards-Helaire, keep it high and tight. Good luck in practice this week. Patrick Mahomes, you'll be okay. They'll let you do whatever you want anyway. And then last, but definitely least.
So let's move on to the Monday Night Football game. Green Bay takes the victory over the Detroit Lions, 35-17. What do we think?
Good. I mean, we'll say this is a good showing from the Detroit Lions. Like, we're not gonna call no moral victory or anything. They still got blown out, but
That second half was pretty.
they were really competitive in the first half. They led in the first half, multiple extended quality of drives on offense. TJ Hawkinson looks like a star at the tight end position. He is the only legit pass catcher they have, and he was making plays despite, even though everybody in Green Bay knew that. That takes a lot. He has shown that he can overcome a poor situation around him and be a big-time playmaker. Deontay Swift, he didn't really make any plays until late, unfortunately, but he did make some plays as well. I mean, Detroit's they're outmatched. Like, we understand that Detroit doesn't have a great roster. They're not going to have one of the better records in the NFL. But through 2 weeks, I feel like they've shown really tough.
They had a good first half. I'm not gonna lie. They bent over and gave the game away in the second half. They just didn't show up practically. Jared Goff had a patented Jared Goff type of turnover where it's just like how, why, fumbles a snap, and then it's over. Green Bay comes out, scores a touchdown off the fumble snap, another 3 and out. Green Bay scores another touchdown. And Aaron Jones 4 touchdowns, not enough to get Eric a fantasy win. But still a pretty good game for him. Not much to say. Patented Green Bay Packers.
Why was this game on Monday Night Football again? Like, I think that's the real question.
Because everybody gets a primetime game.
If you're gonna put Detroit on primetime, at least give them a team.
Then you always get Green Bay,
so they can lose.
Yeah,
so they can lose. So they can just go and get slaughtered.
Are you tuning into the Detroit versus Chicago Bears game?
Why I gotta be the Chicago Bears?
It's gonna be a division rival for Detroit, so it's gonna be Minnesota, Chicago, or Green Bay. They know people will watch Green Bay. Detroit. It's hard.
Maybe we just should have put Detroit on Monday Night Football.
Everybody gets a game. Anything else to say about this game, Eric? Just put us on the misery.
I'm going to give props to Jared Goff. I mean, everyone was saying when he left LA that it was a product of the system, and he hasn't looked terrible. Like, he's proven that
he was never bad.
McVay quarterback.
He looks like quarterback
that system.
He looks like quarterback 20 to 25. People said he was a top 10.
He went first overall. So, I mean, in a quarterback class with Dak Prescott. So, you just hate to see that. MVP watch. So MVP race. I think, for me, I'll just give my top 3, and they're all quarterbacks, and they're all pretty easy. Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, Tom Brady, in that order.
You already know I got to keep it my guy, Matthew Stafford, followed by Tom Brady because he's got 9 touchdowns somehow. And then I'll go with 3 being Derek Carr because I don't think that he'll keep it up. So he's just having a good first couple weeks.
I'm going to go 1 is probably Kyler right now for me. 2, I'll go Tom Brady. That was my pick for MVP in the season.
Such a bold pick.
Yeah, I gotta put my neck out somewhere. And for 3, I'll go Matthew Stafford at 3. Just another. You got to pick one of the 2-0 teams quarterbacks this early. So yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, we got a long way to go in this MVP race. None of those. Well, I think Derek Carr has the best wins of any quarterback so far. Stafford, Kyler Murray.
Stafford beat 2 playoff teams.
I remember talking about the Bears here.
They had the MVP.
Beating Andy Dalton.
They had the MVP last year.
Beating Andy Dalton is not beating a playoff team since 2014.
Yeah, Trubisky wasn't like that. And then they beat the Colts.
So, but overall, a lot of terrific quarterback play. I think early on in the season, we got a lot of guys who are going to be breaking passing records this year. I think for sure, especially with the extra game.
So that'll do it, boys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you want, all that good stuff. Tune in later this week to get the week 3 reviews.